Hello and welcome. You're watching Rajya Sabha TV. This is Breakfast News. I am Rajat Kane. Here are the top headlines of the day so far. Samajwadi Party and Congress formalized alliance in Uttar Pradesh. Samajwadi Party to contest on 298 seats and Congress on 105. Tamil Nadu government to move bill replace Jallikat ordinance as assembly sessions begins today. State issues guidelines for holding bull-baiting event after 3 deaths. Investigations to begin in Hirakhand Express derailment in Andhra Pradesh that left 41 people dead. Railway Minister visits accident spot. Central and state teams continue rescue and relief efforts. And Saina Nehwal claims Malaysia Masters title, defeat Thai finalists in a 46-minute clash. After days of hectic parleys, the Samajwadi Party Congress alliance in Uttar Pradesh has been sealed. The SP will contest on 298 seats and the Congress will fight on 105 seats. The UP Assembly polls will be held in 7 poll phases on 403 seats.
After hectic parleys, an alliance between the Samajwadi Party and the Congress has been formalized. Of the 403 seats for the Uttar Pradesh Assembly, the Samajwadi Party will contest in the lion's share of 298 seats. The Congress will fight on 105.
समाजवादी पार्टी और कांग्रेस पार्टी 2017 का चुनाव मिलकर लड़ेंगे। वही हम कांग्रेस पार्टी के 105 उम्मीदवार इस 2017 के चुनाव में उतारे गए।
For the Congress seat sharing, talks were hitting a roadblock, but the alliance is reported to have come through after Sonia Gandhi's intervention. The party says it is to ensure that the BJP is stopped from return to power after 15 years.
दोनों पार्टियां पूरी मुस्तैदी और मेहनत से धर्मनिरपेक्ष और सद्भावना की ताकतों को मजबूत करेंगी।
The Congress leaders sought to dismiss reports that the delay in the alliance was because lightweight emissaries like election strategist Prashant Kishore were involved in talks. The party asserted that top leaders like Priyanka Gandhi played a crucial role.
अगर हम सब पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज अलग अलग लड़े, सेकुलर पार्टीज अलग लड़े, समाजवादी अलग लड़े, कांग्रेस अलग लड़े, बीएसपी अलग लड़े, तो बीजेपी का रास्ता तो सीधे निकला।
The parties say the common minimum program will be finalized within a week of the alliance coming to power.
आवाम चुनेगी अंत में और नीतियों के आधार पे, कार्य के आधार पे और क्या वो प्रांत का करना चाहते हैं, देखना चाहते हैं, किस तरह का विकास देखना चाहते हैं और उसमें ये जो गठबंधन हुआ बहुत सक्षम है।
Leaders like RJD President Lalu Prasad also played a behind-the-scene role in coming together of the two parties. Following the alliance, he tweeted, "I have been consistently in talks with the Samajwadi Party and Congress's top leadership for stitching an alliance between the two parties in Uttar Pradesh." Given the SP and Congress's performance in the last assembly polls, the new alliance could pose a tough challenge to its rivals. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Now reacting to the alliance, the BJP, which is looking for a comeback in Uttar Pradesh in a crucial state, says it had no impact on the election results. The party says it's hopeful of a win.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी हर चुनौती का सामना करने के लिए तैयार है। सपा और कांग्रेस ही नहीं, उसमें बसपा भी मिल जाए, तब भी भाजपा 300 से ज्यादा सीटें जीतेगी और उत्तर प्रदेश में सरकार बनाएगी।
After the SP and Congress announced their alliance, the Samajwadi Party released its first list of 77 candidates. It, however, left 3 seats for the Congress in Raebareli. With this list, the SP has so far released tickets for 285 candidates. For the state polls, it left 3 seats for Congress in its pocket borough of Raebareli and announced its candidates on the rest 3 seats. This list, the party has so far announced names of 304 candidates. There are, however, no Muslim nominees in the list. Besides Singh, who makes his electoral debut from Noida, party's National Secretary Siddharthnath Singh, Rita Bahuguna Joshi, who left Congress to join BJP, and Mrigang Singh, daughter of Kairana MP Hukum Singh, are among the party candidates. Announcing the list, the party said it represents all section of people and is confident of a 2/3 majority. The 7th phase polls in the state will take place on February 11th, 15th, 19th 23rd, 27th, March 4th and March 8th.
155 नाम जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने आज उत्तर प्रदेश में 2017 के विधानसभा के जो चुनाव हो रहे हैं उनके लिए घोषणा की है और जैसा मैंने बताया 304 नाम पूरे हो चुके हैं। सभी वर्ग को, सभी समुदाय, सभी वर्गों को इसमें प्रतिनिधित्व मिला है।
Now, hours after Samajwadi Party and Congress decided to contest the polls together in UP Assembly elections, Congress Party too released its first list of 43 candidates for the first and second phases on February 11th and Feb 15th. Congress has given tickets to former Union Minister Jitin Prasad, who hails from a prominent political family of UP, and fielded heavyweights MLA Amalpal Sharma, a BSP defector from Sairabad seat. The Congress is contesting on 105 seats in the alliance with Samajwadi Party and may soon come out with a second list of candidates. Yeah. We have with us our Rajya Sabha TV correspondent Panchanan Mishra from Lucknow. Panchanan, what is the latest? Like, now alliance is stitched. Has all the issues between Congress and SP sorted?
Yeah, Rajat, after a 5 days long wait and full of, you can say, roller coaster and roadblocks, the alliance was finally done between Samajwadi Party and Congress. But there will be many issues which has to be solved between the two parties. Regarding, let's first take example of Raebareli and Amethi seats. Just after this declaration of alliance, Samajwadi Party has declared 2 seats of Amethi. Amethi, which has 5 assembly seats, Samajwadi Party has declared Gayatri Prajapati and Rakesh Kumar Singh. That's made it clear that Congress was earlier demanding all the 5 seats of Raebareli and Amethi. But the Samajwadi Party gone its way and declared 2 candidates. So that the same can be seen in Raebareli. So the claim of Congress of claiming all the 10 seats is not looking the formalized. That's
Right.
this case may be applied to all other seats where there is a controversy. So we have to see that how they will manage, because many seats has to be declared between the two parties. But the alliance
Right.
came just because of the action against BJP and BSP. So we have to see that what this alliance may be fruitful or not against these two major factions.
Right, thanks Panchan. So alliance has been stitched. It has to be seen whether it will reap fruits of its political maneuvering. Now, Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav released the party's election manifesto on Sunday, promising number of schemes. The manifesto announced distribution of laptops, Kanya Vidya Dhan, Samajwadi pension, laying of Purvanchal Bundelkhand Terai Expressway, and establishing model villages, besides improving helplines for police and women. Now, the highlight of the manifesto was setting up a farmers' fund called Samajwadi Kisan Kosh for farmers to purchase seeds and fertilizers. While 32-page manifesto carried photographs of Akhilesh Yadav and Mulayam Singh, there were no pictures of his uncle Akhilesh Shivpal Yadav. Mulayam Singh Yadav also skipped the party manifesto released event.
सोचो, जिन्होंने नारा दिया अच्छे दिन का, जिन्होंने कहा कि हम सबका साथ लेकर के सबका विकास करेंगे, बताओ अब तो 3 साल हो गए हैं। जनता हमारे पुराने कामों को देखते हुए हमारे इन वादों पर विश्वास करेगी और हमारी समाजवादी सरकार पिछली बार की तरह न केवल अपने वादों को पूरा करेगी बल्कि आगे बढ़कर के प्रदेश की खुशहाली और विकास के लिए और भी नए नए काम करेगी।
एक बार जो वादे किए गए जो घोषणा पत्र में वो पूरे नहीं हुए, नए वादों की फेहरिस्त है। जनता के पास समय है, जनता मूल्यांकन करेगी।
इन्होंने खासकर अपने वोटों के स्वार्थ में जो किस्म किस्म की प्रलोभन भरी चुनावी घोषणाएं आदि की हैं, तो उससे प्रदेश की जनता इनसे प्रभावित होने वाली नहीं है।
अपराधी सत्ता के संरक्षण में पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश में सपा सरकार के कार्यकाल में नंगा नाच करते रहे। महिलाओं के प्रति अपराध की घटनाओं की बाढ़ आ गई।
Union Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Sunday released BJP's manifesto for the upcoming Punjab Assembly elections in Jalandhar. In his 16-page manifesto, BJP promised a number of popular schemes like providing sugar and ghee at low prices, housing to all the poor, lands to Dalits and backwards, besides restoring 5 lakh rupees assistance to the families affected by the militancy. The manifesto also talks of setting up a farmers' income commission, which will provide assistance of rupees 10 lakh to families of traders and farmers in the events of this sudden death.
और जो डेवलपमेंटल एक्टिविटी विकास दी गतिविधि पंजाब ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ 5 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਬਣਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਸੇ ਦਾ ਫੈਲਾਅ ਹੋਏਗਾ और ਉਹਦਾ ਹੀ एक्सपेंशन होएगा.
The Congress party released the list of its 63 candidates for 70-member Uttarakhand Assembly. Chief Minister Harish Rawat will contest from 2 seats of Kicha and Hardwar Rural. The candidates were decided at meeting of party's Central Election Committee chaired by Congress President Sonia Gandhi. Prominent among the candidates are State Ministers Indra Hridesh, who will contest from Haldwani, Surendranath Negi, who will contest from Kotdwar, and Dinesh Agrawal, who will contest from Dharampur. Assembly elections in 70-member Uttarakhand Assembly is scheduled to take place on February 15th. However, supporters of disappointed ticket seekers of State Congress vandalized party office in Dehradun and raised slogans against Chief Minister Harish Rawat.
कुछ लोग कांग्रेस को मटियामेट कर देना चाहते हैं, कुछ लोग उत्तराखंडियत को मटियामेट कर देना चाहते हैं, तो दोनों ताकतें एक ही चेहरे के नीचे हैं, तो उससे लड़ाई है.
मुख्यमंत्री जी ने कहा था कि उन्हें जो है टिकट देंगे, तुम जो है अपने काम करते रहो, कार्य करते रहो. वो इतना कार्य कर रहे हैं, हर क्षेत्र में घूम घाम कर उन्होंने इतनी मेहनत करी, उसके बाद टिकट किसी और को दे रहे हैं. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. हम नवीन जिसके साथ.
Election Commission officials have seized over 83 crore rupees in cash and 7.36 lakh litre liquor and nearly 1,500 kilogram drugs in 5 poll-bound states. As per official data compiled since the announcement of polls, UP has witnessed maximum seizure of nearly 80 crore rupee, followed by over 4 crore from Punjab, 33 lakhs in Uttarakhand and nearly 7 lakhs in Manipur. Close to 4 lakh litre of liquor worth 10 crore rupee has been seized from Uttar Pradesh. Drugs seized are seen maximum in Punjab, as total haul was recorded at 1,485 kg, valued at rupees 10.30 crore. Time for a short break. More on the other side.
Hello and welcome to India's World. The primary basis of the European Union is free movement of goods and services, capital and labour. And she's closed the labour option.
It was a vote where populism won over cold statistics and logical messages about the gains that Britain has made out of being a member of the European Union.
The trade part is not what the killing part. It's the services part which is what it is. How you do that?
Watch experts debate what hard Brexit means for the UK in India's World on Rajya Sabha television.
The splendid, grand and massive neo-Buddhist copper dome of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. It gets its influence from stupa at Sanchi. The dome is more than twice the height of the rest of the building. The reinforced concrete shell of the outer dome began to be formed during the beginning of 1929. The last stone of the dome was laid on April 6, 1929.
Welcome back. 3 people were killed in Tamil Nadu on the first day of bull baiting sport as it was conducted in various parts of the state on Sunday. Following the deaths, the state government issued guidelines including CCTV surveillance and medical examination of bulls to ensure safe conduct of the sport. With an ordinance being promulgated for holding Jallikattu, the sport was organized in several parts of the state in which 2 persons were killed and 28 injured when they were gored by a bull in which several bulls were used and many sportsmen took part. In another incident, a 48-year-old man died due to dehydration in Madurai city when he was taking part in the protest along with students and youth demanding permanent solution for holding Jallikattu. Earlier in the day, protesters in Alanganallur did not allow Chief Minister Pannirselvam to inaugurate festival as they were demanding a permanent solution. Later, Chief Minister said that even though Jallikattu was not held at Alanganallur, it was organized smoothly in many places all over the state. Tamil Nadu's government will introduce a draft bill to amend law in the state legislature today.
நடைபெற இருக்கின்ற சட்டமன்ற கூட்டத்தொடரில் சட்ட முன்வடிவு வரைவு கொண்டு வரப்பட்டு அது சட்டமாக்கப்படும். இப்பொழுது அவசர சட்டம் பிறப்பித்திருக்கிறது நிலையான நீடித்த சட்டம் என்பதை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். களத்துக்குள்ள போய் போராடல, நாங்க எல்லாத்தையும் மன்றாடி கேட்டுக்கிறோம். இங்க இருக்க மினிஸ்டர்ஸ், இங்க இருக்கிற அரசியல் கட்சி தலைவர்கள் நாங்க கெஞ்சி கேட்டுக்கிறோம். எங்க போராட்டம் முழுசா வெற்றி அடைகிற வரைக்கும் இந்த ரேகா பந்தயங்கள், இந்த ஜல்லிக்கட்டுலாம் நிப்பாட்டுங்க.
We don't want the temporary solution. It's only for they are telling only for valid for 6 months. We need for a permanent solution. We need to remove bull from the wild animal list so that we can take back that law. So we need the permanent solution to every year we cannot come and protest here to fight for our culture.
The investigations in Hirakhand Express derailment will begin today. The probe will be headed jointly by Railway Safety Commissioner South and South Central Commissioner of Hyderabad Circle at Railway Officers Guest House at Raigada. Meanwhile, Railway Minister Suresh Prabhu visited the accident spot in Koneru station and subsequently visited Raigada district headquarters to check the condition of the injured, most of whom are from Odisha. Suresh Prabhu said this stringent action will be taken against those found responsible. The railway has announced compensation of rupees 2 lakh rupee each for the kin of those killed and 50,000 rupee each for the injured. 41 passengers were killed and more than 110 people injured when train rolled off the tracks near Koneru station, Vijayanagaram district of Andhra Pradesh. The train was headed to Bhubaneswar.
जो भी वजह हो सकती है वो वजह पूरी तरह से जांच की जाएगी और जो भी उसमें जिम्मेदार होगा उसके खिलाफ हम सख्त कार्रवाई भी करेंगे.
Militants ambushed a convoy for some rifles on Sunday, killing 2 security personnel on the spot and injuring 2 others in northeastern Arunachal Pradesh district. The rebels reportedly lobbed grenades targeting 4 Assam rifle vehicles on National Highway 53 in Changlang district. The security personnel also retaliated and 2 militants were killed in the operation. Following the encounter, the nearby Indo-Myanmar border has been sealed and helicopters has been pressed into service to spot militants hiding in nearby jungles. The entire area has been cordoned off and combing operations have been stepped up in the area. Banned outfit Ulfa I in a statement claimed that it had carried out attack along with 4 other organizations. Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Pema Khandu has condemned the ambush and has announced ex gratia from Chief Minister's Relief Fund as per government laid down norms to the next of the kins of the martyrs.
ইয়াতে কোৰকম আলফা এনএসিএন তিনটা থাকা বুলি সন্দেহ কৰা হৈছে তিনটাই দুজন আহত হৈছে হয়
Premier Stock Exchange BSE will launch an initial public offering today. The initial share sale, which will also be the first of this year, closes on January 25th. Asia's oldest stock exchange BSE has fixed a price band at 805 to 806 rupees per share, through which it aims to raise more than 1,243 crore rupees. Significantly, BSE currently offers 85% of net profits as dividends and plan to continue with high dividends policy in the future. While noting that there has been various revenue drivers for the exchange, including the newly launched international exchange at Gujarat's GIFT City, the BSE CEO said that the BOUS needs to improve its market share in various segments. BSE has 13% market share in equity cash segments, while equity derivative traders have also sharply declined and is far behind its closest competitor, NSE. During the IPO, shareholders 15.43 million shares, estimated to be around more than 1,243 crore rupees at the higher end of the price band. A look at what will be making news in the day ahead. The Supreme Court will hear a plea seeking postponement of union budget presentation after the assembly elections in 5 states completed on March 8. The plea argues that presentation of budget for the year 2017-18 violates Model Code of Conduct, which has come into force with the announcement of the election schedule. 7 opposition parties have approached the Election Commission to demand the fiscal exercise should be deferred till March 8. The Supreme Court is likely to announce its verdict on the action to be taken on the report of its panel, which has held that prima facie there was an attempt to influence investigation in coal black allegation scam cases by former CBI Director Ranjit Sinha. The court had on July 12th last year reserved the order on the issue after Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi told the bench that the panel has held that Ranjit Sinha met some high-profile accused in the scam. Well, the Delhi High Court will hear a plea on missing JNU student Najib Ahmed. In its last hearing on the matter on December 22nd, the court had asked police to take all necessary steps to trace the student. Najib has been missing since October 15 after a scuffle at his hostel. A reward of 10 lakh rupee has also been announced by the police on any information about Najib Ahmed. The weekend saw renewed fighting in Yemen in which 70 people were killed. Airstrikes by Saudi-led coalition and fighting near the strategic Bab al-Manab Strait killed at least 54 fighters of Shiite Houthi rebels and allied troops loyal to ex-President Ali Abdullah Saleh. 14 members of the pro-government forces were also killed. This comes as pro-government forces pushed to oust the rebels from key stretch of coastline. Coalition warplanes and Apache attack helicopters were also been pounding rebels in support of President Abu Rabu Mansour Hadi forces advancing towards Red Sea city of Mocha. The Yemen conflict began when Hadi was ousted by rebel Houthi forces, which now controls the capital, Sana'a, and much of Red Sea coastal areas of the country. More international news in World Wrap. Gambia's former president Yahya Jammeh has left the country in the wake of elections that ousted him after 22 years in power. Jammeh was defeated in December election by Adama Barrow but went to challenge the results. Troops from several West African nations had been deployed in Gambia, threatening to drive Jammeh out of office if he did not agree to go. US President Donald Trump on Sunday invited Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to visit him in Washington next month. Just hours before the telephone call, Israel approved hundreds of new settler homes in East Jerusalem. The two leaders agreed to continue closely consult on regional issues, including addressing the threats posed by Iran. However, there was no mention of Trump's suggestion to move US Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Islamic State blew up a landmark hotel in western Mosul on Friday to prevent advancing of Iraqi forces from using it as a base in their offensive to capture the city. The Mosul hotel stands close to Tigris River, which divides the city. Iraqi forces have taken most of full control of the Mosul east and have now preparing to attack the western city. British Prime Minister Theresa May faces a landmark court ruling on Tuesday that could put a dent on her Brexit plans. The Supreme Court will decide whether she can use her executive powers to begin formal talks on leaving the European Union, on whether she must seek prior approval from the Parliament. May has promised to trigger Article 50 of the European Union Lisbon Treaty, beginning 2 years of divorce talks by the end of the March. On to some sports news now. Ace Indian shuttler Saina Nehwal notched up her first title after a career-threatening injury by claiming the Malaysia Masters Grand Prix gold with a hard-fought victory in a summit clash at Sarawak on Sunday. Up against 18-year-old Thai Pornpai Chuchungwong, the top-seeded London Olympic bronze medalist triumphed 22-20, 22-20 in 46-minute clash. The two were meeting for the first time in a circuit city, and Saina was on back foot in the opening game when Cho Chu-wong reeled off 4 consecutive points to grab the early initiative. This was the 23rd title overall and first after last year's Australian Open. England defeated India by 5 years in third and final cricket one-day international to prevent a clean sweep at Eden Gardens. Chasing a target of 322 runs, India were cruising along with 27 runs leading the final 3 overs, but match turned in England's favour in the 48th over, with home side scoring just 4 runs from it and losing wickets of Ravichandran Ashwin. Earlier, India lost to informed skipper Virat Kohli for 55 and Yuvraj Singh departed for 45, but Jadhav, who scored career best 120 in the first one-day international in Pune, kept them in the hunt. India still won three-match series 2-1 after the victories in the first and second ODIs in Pune and Cuttack, where England had notched up first win in the Indian tour. They had also lost the Test match series 4-0 before the ODI contest. The two sides are headed for a 3-match T20 international series beginning on January 26th in Kanpur.
In the second game, to win that game for us, to pull it back was outstanding when it was difficult to grip the ball. And even today the partnership was outstanding between Kedar and Hardik after being 170 odd for 5, all experienced guys back. But I think these guys have shown character and stuck it out whenever we've been under pressure, and that for me is the standout from this series as a captain, the way the relatively newer guys have performed and the way MS and UV have come back into their own.
It's nice to come back here and get rid of any of the bad memories from that game, but as I said, it was just another game of cricket to focus on, and nice to get the win here.
In tennis, world number 1 Andy Murray made a shock exit from Australian Open at Melbourne. In the fourth round game, Murray was stunned by unseeded German Miska Zverev 5-7, 7-5, 2-6, 4-6. In another match, Roger Federer overhauled fifth-seeded Kei Nishikori 6-7, 6-4, 6-1, 4-6, 6-3 to take a place in the quarterfinals. In women's single event, top seed and reigning champion Angela Kerber was bundled out in the fourth round by big-hitting American Coco Vandeweghe 6-2, 6-3, while Venus Williams advanced to the quarterfinals after defeating German Mona Bathail 6-3, 7-5. She will now face Russia's Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova in the quarterfinals. In women's double, fourth-seeded Indo-Czech pair of Sani Mirza and Barbara Strykova crashed out in the third round after losing to unseeded Japanese team of Eri Hozumi and Mio Kato 3-6, 6-2, 2-6. In mixed doubles, Leander Paes and Martina Hingis progressed to the second round. Sania and Rohan Bopanna with their partners have already made it to the mixed doubles second round. That's it for now. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.